Right. Hi, Tim.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So thank you for being here, take the interview. So
Sure.
first one, what is the biggest difference between UI UX design and traditional graphic design?
In my opinion, the biggest difference is the testing aspect of what user experience goes through versus traditional design. A traditional designer, sometimes you may work on projects where things are focus tested and you've gone through focus groups and you gather information from that and you apply those into your visual designs for print and just traditional design. But not a ton of that goes on. Whereas user experience, everything is honed around testing, and so subjective opinion from a designer isn't necessarily going to outweigh test results. So if a majority of users that you test get what it is you're trying to achieve, that's going to win out over subjective opinion from a lot of other designers and stuff. So that to me is the biggest difference.
Okay. Second one, what do you think is the most important mindset for a UI UX designer?
Probably the most important mindset would be keep things very simple. You have a scenario, whether it's an app or a website, where you have a specific goal that you need to achieve. You need to get the user from point A to point B without there being a lot of hesitation. So keeping things simple, less busy is going to be less of a distraction for the user, and they spend they're able to keep their attention on what it is you need them to get done.
Okay. So how was your transformation from a graphic designer to a UI UX designer?
It was a small learning curve. I mean, in some fashion, it was small. In some aspects, it was, a little bit of a culture shock because when you're a traditional print designer for a lot of years, you kind of form habits and attitudes and things. And then being a UX designer isn't much different than being a traditional designer, but there are different facets that you're not used to within traditional print design that take a little while to get used to and adapt.
Okay, thank you. And do UI UX designers need to learn coding?
It helps if they know coding. Is it mandatory? Not necessarily, but to understand the code base helps you understand the realization of what you can and can't do. So the more code you know, the better off you are.
Okay, next one is I think it's a simple but really important question. What is the goal of UI UX design?
In my opinion, the goal would be if, let's say, you're working on a mobile app, or it could also be a website as well, but let's say it's a mobile app, your goal is to make the information that the user is looking at and reading and interacting with so simple that they won't feel the need to pick up a phone and want to call somebody for help. That's the goal, because every phone call costs money, and that money, when you multiply it by thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people, can become a problem really quick. So if you make something too complicated and the user gets frustrated and they have to call for an explanation, then you failed as a user experience designer.
Okay, sure. And how to balance your creativity and the app's function?
You learn to see creativity a little bit different in UX, where sometimes creativity to a print designer may be in texture, pattern, and whereas a UX designer, you still can use texture and pattern, but you find creativity in interactions more than you do like traditional print design may find creativity in die cuts and folds and just different printing techniques, whereas in UX you're going to end up finding your creativity in how you visually create interactions within the app. So it's a little bit different. It's still the same. You're using technology on the UX side. On traditional print design, you're using different printing techniques, but you're leveraging those, to get your creativity.
And what do you think is the future of UI UX design?
The future seems to be more AI related, more voice recognition, where it'll be more voice activated experiences than touch screens and interfaces. That seems to be the trend, but there's a lot of technology that has to happen before that's a reality.
Okay, so somebody said the next UI UX design platform will be, after smartphone, will be VR glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think that definitely could be one avenue. There's definitely a lot of technology that's being experimented with. So that's kind of a tough one to answer.
Okay. And next question will be asked for design students who want to go into this industry. So what do you think employers want to see from UI UX design candidates in an interview?
They want to see the understanding of research. They want to see the understanding of the interactions and architecture of an interface, and then they want to see how you visualize those interactions, and they'd love to see if you can code those interactions. So if a creative person that wants to go into user experience can handle essentially all 5 of those, they're going to be very sought after.
One last question. So what's your advice for UI UX design beginners?
Really understand technology, understand different frameworks such as material design, how to leverage frameworks within your designs, understand the software like Sketch or Experience Design or Envision, Marvel app. But it's a lot of little things that would kind of fall under that bucket.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.